Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Virtual Jays Network. My name is Liam Crothers, and I'm joined alongside Drew Frank. It is an interesting afternoon here for the Toronto Blue Jays. The Dome is closed, and they will be taking on the Kansas City Royals once again in this set. Drew, an interesting night out last night for the Blue Jays. What do you think is going to be the key for them in this series?
Well, we've seen some pitching dominating in both games. The first night, it was a phenomenal performance by Jacob Junis back on the Thursday, and then Chase Anderson looked great for the Blue Jays yesterday. So I think it'll come down a lot to the pitching matchup. It's going to be an interesting one here today. Trent Thornton, Mike Montgomery, and really whichever team can make a difference. And here, an interesting note for anyone that didn't see before the game, it was actually supposed to be Derek Fisher batting ninth. It's instead going to be Brandon Drury. Scratched last minute. Fisher had to come out of the game, and Drury's filling his spot, which caused a whole lot of position shuffling around.
First pitch from Thornton misses high, a fastball. And we are underway here in downtown Toronto. Drew, last time out, Trent Thornton was pretty much as good as he could have been against the New York Yankees. What is he going to have to do for success here tonight?
For him, a lot of that was establishing his fastball location. He was able to hit his spots and really not mess around either with balls all over the place or by putting things out over the middle of the plate. A very powerful offense in New York. Even with their injured state, there's still a lot of big bats, and he managed to do pretty well. And even in his start before that in Cincinnati, a similar response. So as long as he's not making too many mistakes out over the middle of the plate, he should be good.
That pitch catches the outside corner, and Thornton will have to battle back here down 2-1 against Alberto Mondesi, who's got a lot of speed out of that batter's box. This pitch is flown into center field. Grichuk on the run, gets into his track, shifts over to his right, makes the play, and we have our first out of the ball game.
Mondesi back in the lineup after a day off yesterday. He leads off, followed by Alex Gordon, Whit Merrifield, Jorge Soler, looking to keep up what's been a pretty good series for him. Hunter Dozier in the 5-hole, followed at the bottom of the order by Perez, O'Hearn, Maikel Franco, and Phillips batting ninth.
It'll be Alex Gordon, the aforementioned, stepping in. Thornton's first pitch catches at the top of the strike zone, and we'll work with the first pitch strike. Alex Gordon, one of the longest tenured Royals on this team, a tremendous fielder, more no so for his work in the corner outfield.
They've got a pair of really strong defensive corner outfielders with Alex Gordon in left, a great arm and a great glove. And we saw Jorge Soler yesterday, a beautiful diving catch as well as the powerful arm he presents out and right.
This ball will be grounded over to Panik, playing second base today, makes the throw to Travis Shaw, and very quickly here, there are two down. This is exactly the start that Thornton wants against this Royals lineup.
He's used just 7 pitches and got a very talented hitter and a very experienced hitter, and next it'll bring up a bit of both here with Whit Merrifield.
Yeah, and Whit Merrifield, probably one of the more interesting stories in this Royals lineup, contemplated quitting baseball after the 2015 season as he was toiling in AAA as that ball misses from Thornton outside. A whole lot like his dad, Bill Merrifield, who spent a whole lot of time in AAA but never get that call to the big leagues. Thornton's second pitch misses outside. Merrifield here stands in. He's one of the best contact hitters, arguably in the American League, and working with a 2-0 count. Grounds this one onto the left side. It'll be fielded by Gurriel, makes the throw over to first. It is in time, and a 1-2-3 inning for Trent Thornton. We will be back with the starting 1, 2, 3 for the Blue Jays. It'll be Panik, Biggio, and Guerrero Jr. here on the Virtual Jays Network. Welcome back to the Virtual Jays Network. It'll be Mike Montgomery, the left-hander, opposing this Jays lineup today. And Drew, we saw a great start for the game from Trent Thornton, but what's it going to take for Montgomery to have success in this game?
For Montgomery, it's a lot of the same. He's been bitten by the walk bug a little bit more than Trent Thornton, and it's just about commanding his off-speed pitches, because that's when he's most effective, is when he's able to generate a swing and miss with his breaking pitches. And so far, he's been able to work into the 6th inning in both of his 2 starts and looking to hone more of that here today.
It'll be Joe Panik starting things off for the Blue Jays. His career line against Montgomery, in only 9 appearances, he's got 2 hits. Panik definitely hit for average so far this year in the starts that he's had. No home runs or RBIs, though, but starting out at the top of the lineup, that's to be expected. Montgomery's second pitch misses wide. It's a changeup. And these 2 lineups are pretty similar, as the way that they've won and lost their games have been very similar to each other, and they've got records that shape up almost identically so far in this young season.
And the parallels extend all across the diamond. They've got volatile pitchers that could be good or could be shaky. They've got bullpens with lots of question marks and a lot of unproved young talent all around the diamond. So really 2 teams that come in with pretty similar records and pretty similar outlooks as a whole.
And Montgomery missed his spot there as Panik rips that one right back up the middle. Salvador Perez set himself up on the low and outside corner. That ball leaked back out over the middle, and Panik made no mistake, and he gets himself on here for Cavan Biggio. First pitch misses wide.
Panik with the single there. Yesterday he was down in the 7th spot in the lineup, and out of there he went 2 for 3 with a walk, and a great day for him. Drove in the 2nd run of the game for the Jays.
Montgomery's second pitch misses high, and it's not exactly the start Montgomery wants. There's a little bit of frustration, but with only 5 pitches thrown, it's important for an umpire to establish the strike zone and hold true to that strike zone for the 9 innings that he's going to be behind the plate for. And on 2-1, it'll be Biggio setting himself up here in a great spot with a man on and in a favorable count. Montgomery's 2-0. Misses low, 3-0, and Cavan Biggio is really putting himself in a great spot here. And we've seen this a lot so far from this young Jays lineup, being able to take pitches and work themselves into good counts.
Especially the top of the lineup, we've noticed. Biggio and Bichette especially, 2 guys that really show patience beyond their years with the discipline at the plate.
Montgomery checks the runner, delivers the 3-0. A fastball right over the middle of the plate, a get-me-over fastball. Montgomery obviously knows he got away with one there, but this early in the game, it's very rare that a batter is going to have the green light on a 3-0.
Especially a guy like Cavan Biggio, who takes pride in his discipline, and he'll take a walk. He's comfortable working into counts. He's not ready to pull the trigger the second he gets the count advantage.
Montgomery's 3-1 is fouled off, and a great job here early in the game for Montgomery to battle back from down 3-0 to now being able to deliver this payoff pitch to Cavan Biggio. Checks on the runner, kicks and deals. This ball misses low, way outside the zone, and Biggio will find himself on base. It'll be 2 men on and none out as the Jays start to get into the meat of their order. It'll be Lourdes Gurriel Jr. coming up. Not the best start for him so far, but early in this game, he's definitely got a chance to get something going for the Jays here.
And Gurriel had one of his best games of the year a few weeks back when he was playing right here in Toronto against Cincinnati, where he got the assignment of playing shortstop to rest Bo Bichette. Tonight, again, he's back playing shortstop. Bichette gets the night off, and we'll see if there was something there with the infield assignment that maybe sparked something in him, and maybe he'll see if he can channel that back tonight.
Yeah, and we've mentioned before that Gurriel's biggest issue last year was his fielding on the infield. Was transitioned into an outfielder to help the Jays lineup because it's a bat that you want to have. It's Montgomery's second pitch to Gurriel is swung over the top of, and now working on an 0-2 count to Gurriel. Montgomery checks the runners. That pitch misses low. A good take there from Gurriel. I think early in this game, that's a ball that you sort of want to make sure that you're getting the call on if you're Montgomery, but doesn't get that here, and now he's going to be 1-2 to Lourdes Gurriel Jr. That ball dribbled along the left field line, just tucks itself outside of the third base bag for a foul ball. Gurriel stays alive. This pitch flown into left center field. It's going to split the outfielders. Oh my goodness, but Panik wasn't running on the play, and he'll get to third and will be held up. It's not the best base running there from Joe Panik. That ball pretty clearly looked like it was going to fall and split those outfielders, but he held himself up at second base, and the Jays miss out on an RBI, but as it'll be Randall Grichuk, one of the hottest hitters of the Jays lineup, coming up here with the bases loaded and none out.
That's tough for the Jays because a ball that gets all the way to the wall, you expect at the very least the runner from second to come around to score. and likely expect extra bases for both the runner on first and the batter himself. Instead here, just one base gained each, and Montgomery's still in double play territory.
Yeah, but Grichuk up at the plate is no easy feat to deal with, especially with how hot he's been, as he takes that high pitch. It'll be 2-0, and he's got himself in a good count here. Randall Grichuk, since coming over from St. Louis in 2018, has been a bit of a strikeout artist, but he's been way more prolific so far this season. He had a great day yesterday, went 2 for 4 with a home run and 2 RBIs, and he's got himself set up here to do some real damage. Montgomery's 2-0, a sinker that Grichuk just missed. Not sure if he blew that by him or if Grichuk was looking for something a little bit less hittable. He tried to pull the trigger too late, but still a favorable count here with 2-1. Montgomery kicks and deals. This ball catches the outside corner. It'll be 2-2 now. 2-2 here for Mike Montgomery, trying to work his way out of an early danger spot here. Strike 3 looking, and Grichuk knew it. Not sure what he was looking for there, but that pitch froze him, and Montgomery, that is an important out to get here, as the bases are still loaded, but he's got one out here, and a double play could get him out of this inning.
And these last 2 batters for him have gone a lot better than the first 2. To Panik and Biggio, who's kind of all around the zone, not really attacking. He changed his philosophy, got right after Gurriel, and got right after Grichuk, and rewarded by the strikeout there.
Yeah, and we talked about the patience in this inning from the Jays hitters so far, but that's not patience you want to see from the guy batting number 4. You know, still one of those traditional spots in the lineup where you expect to get some power. It'll be Vlad Guerrero Jr. standing in with 1 strike. That pitch misses low, and the count is evened up at 1. Montgomery's 1-1. Grounded onto the right side, finds its way through the hole for Guerrero. Biggio rounding second, and he'll come in to score. That's 2 runs as Panik and Biggio come in to score on the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. single through that right side of the infield. That pitch didn't look like the most hittable, and on a 1-1 count, you'd like to see maybe a little bit more patience, but the results will speak for themselves as the Jays grab an early lead here in the bottom of the first.
And he did exactly what he had to do by taking a pitch on the outer half and staying with it and taking it over through that hole.
And Travis Shaw will ground one to the right side, but oh my goodness, that's a great turn by the second baseman to turn a double play and get Mike Montgomery out of the inning with only 2 runs scoring. But the Jays jump out to an early lead. We'll be back with the top of the second on the virtual Jays Network. Welcome back here on the virtual Jays Network. And if you missed the last half of the inning, to borrow a line from Jackson Farrow, you missed a lot as the Toronto Blue Jays jump out to a 2-0 lead. But with the meat of the Royals order and with Jorge Soler, the reigning American League home run champion, coming up, it'll be no easy feat for Trent Thornton here. First pitch in for a strike. You see the heavy shift on Jorge Soler, guy who's known to pull the ball a whole lot more than he's going to push it to the opposite field. And Charlie Montoya playing the percentages here. That pitch misses inside, and it's a good eye here from Soler. Thornton's 1-1 misses way upstairs. That thing up at Soler's eyes as he works himself into a 2-1 count. Thornton not in a lot of trouble so far yet in this game, but now in a 3-1 count to Jorge Soler, it'll be, walking on thin ice here as you make a missed pitch, and Soler has the potential to take you deep. This ball fouled off, and that'll be 3-2 to Jorge Soler. Thornton's 3-2 is in there on the inside corner. Soler looked like he knew it, doesn't put up too much of a fight. but it'll be a tough out there from Soler to take. As now with one down, it'll be Hunter Dozier stepping into the box here. Having some technical difficulties on Drew Frank's end, but we'll look to get those ironed out as Thornton's first pitch is in for a strike on the inside part of the plate. Hunter Dozier not successful yesterday, and with an 0 for 3 performance, it's not what this Royals lineup wants to see from a guy who's batting in that 5th spot, a guy who you want to have come up when you have runners in scoring position, but against a guy like Trent Thornton, it'll be no easy task for their runners to get on base here. Mcguire sets up, lower part of the plate. That fastball driven into right field, but it'll get its way into the seats, and it'll be a 1-2 count here for Hunter Dozier. Thornton's 1-2, a slider misses outside, and Dozier evens up the count at 2-2. That pitch way inside, and now Hunter Dozier has worked his way back into a favorable count here. 3-2, the payoff pitch. And with Salvador Perez standing on deck, a guy who's had a pretty decent start to the year so far after undergoing Tommy John surgery. This will be a big pitch as he misses low and inside, and Hunter Dozier will walk his way to first base. Trent Thornton not happy with himself there as he had an opportunity to set another big bat in this lineup down, but just missed on his chance there. It'll be Salvador Perez stepping in, hitting 333 on the year with 2 home runs and 11 RBIs. This is a great spot for one of these veteran players on this Royals team. Thornton's first pitch outside, catches the outside corner. It'll be an 0-1 count. Thornton receives a sign. Quick check on the runner and the pitch. Cut fastball swung right over. Rhys Mcguire liked the movement on that as he congratulates his pitcher, as Thornton's worked himself into an 0-2 count against Salvador Perez. And the 0-2. Swung and grounded over to the right side. It'll be well foul. It's a great job by Salvador Perez to just stay in this fight here. Still down 0-2, but trying to look to get something started for the Royals after Mike Montgomery gave up 2 runs in the first. Oh, that ball just misses low. Not exactly the pitch that Thornton wants to see, not getting called for a strike, as he'll come back with the 1-2. Not a great slider to swing at, but Salvador Perez goes down hacking anyways. Thornton lost the handle on that one a little bit, got out much more than he probably expected it to, much more than he thought he would need to get Salvador Perez out, but Perez swings over it nonetheless, and Thornton, after surrendering a 1-out walk to Hunter Dozier, will look to limit the damage to 0 and get his boys back on the sticks.
And that's baseball for you. He executes the slider right at the knees, hits his spot perfectly, doesn't get the call. Then, as you mentioned, pulls it a little bit too far glove side, gets it out in the other batter's box, but manages to induce the swing and gets out of it.
Ryan O'Hearn stepping in, fouling off the first pitch. Thornton's delivery will miss well outside, and that slider hasn't looked the best so far for Thornton. That's definitely something he's going to want to get under control as we move deeper into this ballgame.
Well, there is such a thing as effectively wild. He's gotten 2 strikeouts already with the slider. If he can get a grasp on it, maybe he'll see even more success. But so far, you can't argue too much with the results.
The 2-1 to O'Hearn. Swung over the top of and fouled away. It'll be 2-2 now to Ryan O'Hearn as Thornton looks to strand that runner over on first base after surrendering the walk to Hunter Dozier. Thornton will look over in Dozier's direction in the 2-2. A high fastball swung on. Drury making his way over to his right, makes the play and nearly crashes into the wall. A great play there from for Brandon Drury to be aware of where he was on the field and not send himself barreling into the first row. We'll go to the bottom of the second. Jays up 2-0 against the Kansas City Royals on the virtual Jays Network. It'll be the bottom of the Jays order here as Rhys Mcguire steps up. Hasn't had the best year so far. He's getting a consecutive start behind the plate for the Jays today, and man, it's always going to be a tough decision with how hot Danny Jansen has been to get Rhys Mcguire some playing time.
And I think it's mostly a scheduling thing. We're seeing him in here. Tough for him. He hits righties better, but on back-to-back days, seeing a pair of lefties, first Duffy and now Montgomery.
The 0-2 is swung on and fouled away by Rhys Mcguire. Very much a stay-alive cut. The ball didn't look to be anywhere near the strike zone, but Mcguire trying to get things going for himself here as he struggled early on in the few appearances he's had. Swings on an ugly pitch, and it's going to be a long walk back to the dugout. He knows that that wasn't a strike, and he knows that wasn't a pitch to swing at.
Well, yesterday, Duffy's a bit of a different pitcher than Montgomery, but the approach that he took against Duffy was very much to shorten up and hit what was given. So he had a nice base hit where he just poked it opposite field. He took an outside pitch, stayed back on it, and hit it opposite field. Here, a bit more undisciplined.
Anthony Alford chops that one in front of the plate. Oh my goodness, and shows off the speed there and trying to make a case for himself staying in the lineup. Salvador Perez, one of the better fielding catchers in the league. As you can see, Alford gets on top of this ball. Perez pops up quickly out of the crouch, but can't deliver that ball to first base in time.
A very difficult play for Sal Perez. He's won a Gold Glove. He knows what he's doing defensively, but with the speed Alford's got, by the time Perez jumps up and gets out to field that ball, he's just a little bit too late on that bang-bang play at first.
And Brennan Drury steps in here. As we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Derek Fisher scheduled to take on the lefty, but ended up being scratched. We'll let you know what he was scratched for when that information becomes available to us. But Brennan Drury going to look to make good on this opportunity here as he's getting at the bottom of the lineup. And Drury, a guy who's sort of been a fringe player for the Jays so far in the season, trying to legitimize himself being in the lineup along with the young bats that this Jays lineup has.
Well, and he moved a bunch of those young bats around when he came into the lineup today. Set up a whole chain reaction because Fisher set to play left field. Instead, when Drury entered the lineup, Biggio, who was supposed to be DHing, moves to left and is making his first appearance this year in the outfield. He's played a little bit there. Guerrero, who was at third, is now DHing, and Drury, who's now up to bat, slides into third base. So a bit of a shake-up, but that's where we're at.
That ball grounded to Merrifield. It'll be fielded over to Mondesi for one, and back to O'Hearn for two, as Montgomery gets the ball that he needs right up the center of that infield, and that's where his best fielders are, and he's pretty satisfied with himself. We'll go to the top of the third on the virtual Jays Network. Welcome back to the virtual Jays Network. And on the top of the third, it'll be Maikel Franco leading things off for the Kansas City Royals against Trent Thornton, who's looked very good so far in this early ball game.
He sure has. He's already picked up a pair of strikeouts as well as jamming, and we saw at the very last at-bat, he jammed Ryan O'Hearn in on the hands, and the soft contact that he's been generating has been very effective.
Thurston's first pitch inside. A check swing from Franco. There won't be a check down to first base. Now Thornton working off of a 1-0 count. That pitch misses low and gets away from Mcguire. And early on here in this top of the third, Thornton not doing himself any favors as he's worked Franco, a guy who hit a big home run a couple days ago. Got himself in a good hitter's count. And a third pitch consecutively misses, and it'll be Brett Phillips standing on deck. And if Maikel Franco, who's not exactly a guy who's taking up space on the base pass, a guy who can run a little bit at the bottom of this order, is going to look to get on for him. Thornton misses on 4 consecutive pitches. Franco will take his base. It'll be Brett Phillips standing up here, coming into the box with a man on and not out.
Franco, in the opening game on Thursday, you mentioned had a big home run. He went 3 for 3 in that game with a walk. Yesterday, not quite anything like that at all. He went 0 for 3 with a pair of strikeouts. So 2 very different nights on the Thursday and Friday night. Here, the afternoon game on Saturday, maybe a bit of an early rise, will shake something up and hope he can get back to that Thursday night game.
And that ground ball over to Guerrero Jr. will be bobbled, and both men will be safe. As we mentioned on the top of the broadcast, Guerrero Jr.'s defense at shortstop is not his strong suit. Not the easiest play to make. That ball hit pretty hard, but obviously if you're Trent Thornton, that's a double play waiting to happen.
He'd look good on that. He'd look good in his first opportunity at short against the Reds, which we mentioned earlier. Went the whole game without making any errors, turned a couple nice double plays, and really showed off the strength he's got in that arm. But here off to a rough start with an early error.
And Adalberto Mondesi, a guy who hits for a whole lot of contact at the top of this Royals order, is going to look to make some noise here and slice that deficit in half with a ball into the outfield. This one grounded, though, to second base. It'll be fielded over to shortstop for one and back to first for the double play. And Mondesi, a tough guy to double up with a lot of speed coming out of that left-handed batter's box, but Thornton does a great job to roll him over, and from Panik to Gurriel, who makes up for the error on the last play. The Jays quickly here with 2 outs.
And watch the throw here. Very powerful from Gurriel. He's got the outfielder's arm, racks up a whole bunch of outfield assists out there, usually in left field, but on the infield it translates perfectly. And you mentioned the speed of Mondesi, the fastest man in the league in 2019 by foot speed from home to first, but gets beaten there by a great throw.
And it'll be Alex Gordon stepping in. That first pitch is in for a strike. Alex Gordon having a great series so far through his last 5 games. He's hitting .333, continuing, of course, but obviously, as we mentioned, a guy more known for his glove than his bat. This pitch misses inside, 1-1. With a man on third here, Gordon has an excellent opportunity early in this game to make that deficit just a little bit less. That ball fouled off behind Rhys Mcguire. And very quickly here, it'll be 2 strikes on Alex Gordon. And after a promising start to this top of the third, Thornton looks to get out of it without allowing a run. Checks on the runner is 1-2. Is popped up on the infield. Panik over a few steps to his right will rein that ball in. Thornton dances out of danger after allowing the first 2 runners to reach base. And the aforementioned Joe Panik will lead things off as we start the bottom of the third here on the virtual Jays Network. Welcome back to the virtual Jays Network. It'll be Joe Panik stepping in after recording the last out in the top of the third. He'll look to pick things up with the bat. Singled in his last plate appearance. Montgomery's first pitch is inside for a strike. And Joe Panik was the catalyst in that last, in the bottom of the first, excuse me, for the Toronto Blue Jays, and was a driving force in them getting those 2 early runs.
We started the game off the right way. Leadoff task is pretty simple. All you got to do is find a way to reach base.
This ball popped over onto the first base side into shallow right field, but it'll be played by O'Hearn. A great stretch there to keep Panik off of the base paths. As we get a look here at the early AL Central standings, Kansas City finds themselves sitting right in the middle, a game and a half back of Cleveland. And that Cleveland ball club, man, so long at the top of this AL Central. What do you think it's going to take for the Royals to dethrone a team like that?
Well, for the Royals, it's a lot more than just looking at the Indians, because that's a pretty busy AL Central. They've got to worry about the reigning Central winners in the Twins, and they've got the White Sox that are on the up and up. So for the Royals, I think it's more about just seeing what they've got with all these young guys, and they're going to have a good chance in 2020 to take a look. We've seen breakout seasons so far, potentially on the verge for guys like Jacob Junis, who's still looking phenomenal after 3 great starts, and we saw Danny Duffy as well look pretty strong. So it's really just take a year, see what you've got, and then go from there.
In the 0-2 from Mike Montgomery to Kevin Biggio will be swung over the top of. Biggio will be set down, and Montgomery looking very good here, retiring the first 2 batters that he's faced in this inning.
Well, both of these two batters, Panik and Biggio, faced him in the first inning, and Montgomery was all around the zone instead of in it. He didn't come at the guys, and he wasn't making aggressive pitching. He was waiting for them to go chase, and this second time through, he's been a lot more aggressive, and so far, it's panned out.
Yeah, and if you can produce swings, it's not exactly a level of baseball where a guy's going to hit a home run on you every time if you're working your pitches well. And, you know, being around the strike zone, obviously not throwing too many mistake pitches. Montgomery's second pitch to Vlad Guerrero Jr. will be taken for strike two. And after a rough couple of innings for Mike Montgomery, he's going to look to set this lineup down in order. And it's no easy feat here at the top of this Blue Jays lineup. Montgomery's 0-2 misses outside. It'll be 1-2.
Montgomery, in his age 30 season, a guy that's bounced around a little bit.
Guerrero swings over the top of that one. Montgomery makes the play on the mound. Throws over to O'Hearn, and it'll be 1-2-3 for the Jays here. In the bottom of the third inning, we'll pick things back up with Merrifield, Soler, and Hunter Dozier in the top of the fourth on the virtual Jays Network. Welcome back to the virtual Jays Network. My name is Liam Crothers. I'm joined alongside Drew Frank. And Drew, so far in this game, it's been pretty smooth sailing so far for Trent Thornton.
Well, he's looked good, and that was kind of what we've been expecting all series long. Coming into this series, the Royals had the second best pitching staff ERA in baseball, and the Jays had the third best. So we knew right from the get-go this was going to be a real pitching duel series. We've seen two pretty low-scoring games. Last night's game decided 3-2 just by the one run. And Thornton, so far, looking like he can deliver another low-scoring game as long as he keeps things under control.
Oof, gets away with one there as Merrifield turned on that ball and ripped it down the left field line. Tucked itself foul, but Drew, as you've mentioned before, Mark Burley, former Blue Jay, credits a foul ball as a loud strike. Merrifield pops one into center field. It'll get down in front of Grichuk. And two-hit Witt, he's got the first part out of the way as finds himself on base here on the top of the fourth, and it'll be the big bat of Jorge Soler coming up for the Kansas City Royals.
And now you see just the second hit of the day. Originally ruled an error on the Gurriel play at shortstop, now deemed a base hit, so there's two hits now, with one coming from Phillips at the bottom of the order, Merrifield the second, and Soler got a chance here to do something with runner on first.
He pops that one into the left field seats for a foul ball. Jorge Soler, a product of the Cubs system, came up with guys like Eloy Jimenez and Junior Lake, if you remember that name, from around baseball. Probably one of the more prolific bats that Cubs farm system has produced, but obviously he's with the Royals now and he's making good on their confidence in him. So pop that one over to the right side. In foul ground, Travis Shaw makes the play. It'll be one out. Stepping up the number 5 hitter, Hunter Dozier, who walked in his last at-bat. Dozier, an interesting case, a guy who dwelled in the minor leagues with this Royals system for a while. And Drew, where do you think his success has come from mostly in his big league appearances so far?
He's already shown off in this series. He's got all 5 tools, which you don't really see those 5 tools quite as much from third baseman. Usually someone that's as athletic as he is in the outfield or playing shortstop potentially, but he's beaten out a couple tough plays where he's really shown off his speed once in the field and once running to first, as well as demonstrating power early on. And you can look at the stats, they'll show you his contact alone, but all sorts of ability to impact the game on both sides of the ball for Hunter Dozier.
Yeah, and in 2020, so many prolific third basemen around the league, one of the greatest third base generations that baseball has ever seen, as Thornton tries to get himself back into it here after 2 early balls that one in the dirt, well blocked by Rhys Mcguire to keep the speedy Whit Merrifield at first base, and on a 2-1 count, Thornton comes set, and we'll check on Merrifield. Delivers the pitch. This ball chopped weakly along the third baseline. It's going to be a tough play for Drury. Throws it over to first, not in time. You mentioned those 5 tools. Speed is one of them. And Dozier busts his way down the first baseline and gets himself in. So it'll be 2 on and 1 out for Salvador Perez, a guy who's had a very good start to this 2020 campaign.
And for those that missed it on the broadcast yesterday, we mentioned Hunter Dozier right up with Gerard Dyson for sprint speed. They're just a couple decimal points apart. They're right neck and neck, so that gives you a scope of someone that you might not think is as fast as he is, but Hunter Dozier can really run.
And the aforementioned Gerard Dyson, part of that 2015-2016 Royals core that did so well in dethroning or in upsetting this Blue Jays team in the ALCS. A lot of Jays fans remember that. There's been a whole lot of turnover in both rosters since those days, but Salvador Perez, one of those guys who stuck around from that run. And here, sitting on a 2-1 count with 1 away. He's got a runner in scoring position in Whit Merrifield, and you have to think that a single into the outfield might score him here. This ball ripped down the left field line, but well foul. Count even 2-2.
Well, especially speed on the bases. The Jays don't have too many strong arms out in the outfield either. So anything that finds grass, you'd think they'd be sending the runners.
That ball chopped along the third baseline. Drury makes the play, goes to second for 1 out, and back to first for the double play. And as we mentioned, the speed on the base pass there, but the guy running down the first baseline, not the fleetest of foot. Drury slots in here at third and comes up big so far with some defense. Thornton works his way out of another tough situation. We'll go to the bottom of the 4th on the virtual Jays Network. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the virtual Jays Network. My name is Liam Crothers, joined alongside Drew Frank. And with Randall Grichuk stepping in at the top of the order, this is a great chance for the Jays to solidify that lead just a little bit more. Montgomery's first pitch misses outside. Grichuk against Montgomery, only 3 for 6. Not too many plate appearances against him, but as we mentioned, Montgomery, a guy who bounced around to a couple teams, and you're due to meet a guy who's a bit of a journeyman at this point in his career. That ball fouled off.
Grichuk met Montgomery back in 2016 as the Cardinals and Cubs played each other. Former Cardinal Grichuk and former Cub Montgomery used to be division rivals back in 2016 and into 2017 as well.
And Mike Montgomery is credited with throwing probably the most important pitch in the history of the Cubs, and ended a century-long drought for the Chicago Cubs. This 4th pitch will be fouled off back to the screen, and it'll be 2-2 on Randall Grichuk here. Grichuk rips that one into the left field seats, but it'll be well foul. Might have been sitting on a breaking ball, or sitting on a fastball there. Got a breaking ball, but was very out in front of it. Grichuk will pop this one up into center field. Phillips in a couple of steps will make the play. Grichuk is retired. And it'll be Vladimir Guerrero Jr. stepping up with a chance here to get himself on base for Travis Shaw and possibly Rhys Mcguire if he makes his way up.
So far, a quiet night for Grichuk in the cleanup spot. He's bumped down because Panik slotted in leadoff. Montoyo played with the lineup a little bit, where from yesterday, Panik moves all the way up from 8-1.
Guerrero with another ground ball that finds its way through the infield. He'll make his way to first base, and obviously in his first go around we saw him a little bit late to one as he got one through the right side of the infield. This one takes it right where it's thrown, right back up the middle. No chance for the speedy Mondesi with the dive, and got himself on base here with his second hit of the day.
And that's his first, this is his first game in the lineup where he's not batting cleanup as a result of Panik up in the order, and he's off and running.
And he makes it into second base. And want to see the guy standing to field that ball. Guerrero not the fleetest of foot, but a great jump there against Montgomery and against a left-handed pitcher nonetheless. That is something that's very surprising to see from Guerrero Jr.
An unlikely duo, but between Guerrero and Alford, they're the two lone base stealers on this 2020 Jays team so far. So maybe not the name you'd expect to see there, but impressive nonetheless.
Yeah, well, as that ball misses inside, it'll be 1-2 on Travis Shaw. Coming into this season, Guerrero Jr. had worked tirelessly in the offseason to lose a lot of weight, and we're seeing it in the foot speed so far this year.
Well, clearly something's working. I'm not sure if that was a missed hit and run because Shaw did swing on the pitch, or he may just got a great read off of Montgomery, but either way, it worked out for the Jays. Shaw
fouls off that 2-2 delivery, and we'll do it again. This will be Montgomery's 55th pitch of the game so far, and in the bottom of the fourth, he's not taxed so far on the arm. The 2-2 misses low, and that will fill the count up 3-2. The payoff pitch from Montgomery to be delivered to the left-handed batter, Travis Shaw. Shaw swings over the top of it, grounds it through the right side of the infield. Guerrero will hold at third, and Travis Shaw with a single. So back-to-back hits, and has got the Jays at first and third here with something brewing for the bottom half of this order.
During Montgomery's tenure with the Cubs, Shaw was in the NL Central as well as a member of the Brewers, so that's actually the 18th time they've met. So far with that result, Shaw's 6 for 18 with a home run and 2 doubles, so he's seen him pretty well so far, hitting right around 400 in that span.
A little bit of lefty-on-lefty crime from Travis Shaw through his career against Mike Montgomery, and as a guy who struggles to find his way into this lineup with Rowdy Tellez on the way, Rhys Mcguire will ground into a double play. Travis Shaw will be out at second, Mcguire out at first. And that steal from Guerrero is stomped out. We'll go to the top of the fifth. The Jays up 2-0 on the virtual Jays Network. Welcome back to the virtual Jays Network. We are happy to have you here on this Saturday under the dome here in Toronto, and it's been a bit of a hit and miss April so far for Toronto weathers. There have been some chilly nights, some chilly mornings, and had some rainfall in the area, so the dome still closed, but Jays fans waiting for those dog days of summer to see the dome open up.
Yet to see it open. The Twins come into town for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. After that, the Jays will move on the road. So probably not going to see any sunshine shining in here the rest of this homestand, but maybe for the next one.
Bit of an interesting move as we see active in the bullpen Shun Yamaguchi and Wilmer Font. Thornton hasn't been taxed so far in this game. This will be his 60th pitch. Catches the outside corner and moves things up to 1-1. As Thornton's worked through 4 innings here, I've liked what I've seen from him, and I'd be surprised to see him get the early hook. O'Hearn fouls that one off. It'll be 1-2.
Well, we saw yesterday Anderson was cruising, and all of a sudden he got into trouble quickly with 3 straight walks. So maybe just more of a cautious, precautionary type thing, warming up a couple arms, not knowing when things might begin to unravel out of nowhere.
Thornton's delivery misses high. It'll be 2-2. Great job so far. As we mentioned earlier in that bat that Thornton hadn't been taxed, but if the Royals can put together at-bats like this, especially from a guy in the 7-hole, where you're forcing the starter to throw a couple of more pitches to you, it's going to do great things for your lineup. Checks his swing, but they'll say he went. O'Hearn not happy with that call as The umpire does not have to award an appeal to the batter if he believes that he broke the play, and saw that there in that situation. It'll be Maikel Franco stepping in after the O'Hearn strikeout. Thornton's first pitch misses low, 1-0.
And O'Hearn jammed really badly in on the hands in his first at-bat. Fooled there with the attempted check swing, and so far not seeing Thornton overly great there.
Yeah, and the guy at the bottom of the lineup, it's probably something that Ned Yost expected to see, but on 2-0, it'll be Maikel Franco swinging at that pitch and fouling it off.
We mentioned the duality of what Franco's done so far in Rogers Center. One very hot night and one very tough night yesterday, as he just wasn't able to get anything going against Anderson, and that's almost an indicator of what the whole team's been doing. It was much more of an offensive production from them on the Thursday night game. They won that one 5-1, but last night they struggled until late in the game to get anything going at all.
Franco will ground this one onto the right side of the infield. Panik ranging over to his left, makes the play and throws over to first. Joe Panik brought into this Jays team because of his potential to do great things on defense, and mentor Kevin Biggio, who's playing the outfield today, and that's a great play for him on a ball that not hit exactly hard to his left, but does a great job to stay with it and makes the play for the second out of the inning.
Yeah, that showed a lot of his range out there.
Grichuk ranging over to his right, dives, does not make the play. It's off of his glove. Motoring into second base will be Brett Phillips, a guy known for his speed, and Phillips, a guy who's prolific with the glove. Grichuk attempts a dive on this ball, bounces off of what looked to be the heel of his glove, but nonetheless, you love the effort if you're Trent Thornton that you're getting from your center fielder.
Especially because he was able to get a piece of it. We saw a dive, or two dives out in Philadelphia series where the Jays fielders came up short and it went all the way to the wall for a triple. If Grichuk didn't touch this ball, you might have been looking at it inside the Parker with how far he came in, and the fact that he was able to get a piece and knock it down and keep it right there makes it all the sweeter for Trent Thornton.
Yeah, in a situation where you want to keep the ball in front of you, as a man on second with Adalberto Mondesi at the stick, but he'll pop this one into shallow center field. Grichuk coming in will make the play, and that'll be the third out in the top of the fifth. Thornton satisfied with the effort that he gets from his center fielder in this inning. It'll be the bottom of the sixth here on the virtual Jays Network. Welcome back to the virtual Jays Network. I misspoke. Before that break, I said bottom of the sixth. Not exactly there yet. It'll be the bottom of the fifth. Anthony Alford standing in, who's 1 for 1 on the day so far. Montgomery's first pitch misses outside. Alford chopped one in front of Salvador Perez and made his way onto first, as we see in the Royals bullpen Jesse Hahn and Chance Adams warming up.
We saw Adams yesterday pitch really nice work in relief. He came out after Duffy pitched 6 innings, and Chance Adams finished out the last few, looked really good, and surprised to see him up and warming the very next day after multiple innings of work.
And it's something we saw in the series against the Yankees a couple weeks ago. Saw Jonathan Loaisiga pitch quite a few innings on limited days rest coming out of the bullpen. That might be a situation we see here against the Royals. Alford swings over the top of that ball. It'll be 2-2 to the Blue Jays right fielder. They'll rip this one over to first, but O'Hearn makes the play. A great job there to show off some defensive range. Popped himself out of that baseball stance, reached up with the glove, and was able to make the play, and it'll be 1 out for the man batting ninth today, Brandon Drury, who finds himself in the lineup after a bit of a peculiar situation, Drew. He rips that one through the left side of the infield and makes his way to first base, and I don't know, if he wasn't slotted into be in the lineup before. He's definitely making a case of staying there.
Well, I believe that he was just scheduled to get a routine off day, and I'm sure if he was penciled in, he would have been definitely not in the 9-hole. We saw him as high up as 5th in the lineup earlier, so I believe he was supposed to get the day off as a result of the history that Shaw has with Montgomery. We spoke about the NL Central rivalry and their familiarity with each other, and so far it's paid off with Shaw reaching base, and well, clearly it's paid off that Drury's in the lineup with him with that hit right there.
Joe Panik swings on the first pitch, drives this one into the right center field gap, dives. Brett Phillips makes the play. My goodness, as we mentioned earlier, Phillips known for that glove out in center field, and he comes up big with a dive to his left.
Very impressive. Look at this, full extension, and he grabs it just before it hits the turf. Randall Grichuk's attempted dive was a little bit different, where he was half jumping and got some height on it. This was a truer dive where he was full extension, just trying to get full reach before it hit the grass, and makes a great play out there to save definite extra bases.
Brandon Drury, a guy standing on first, he's got a little bit of speed to work with, and you have to think if that ball gets down and rolls its way all the way to the wall, he's going to score easily. Montgomery's 0-1. Misses low and inside to Kevin Biggio. Biggio 0 for 1 on the day with a walk. It'll be very interesting to see how he approaches this situation with 2 outs. Checks his swing. He did not go. Works himself into a 2-1 count.
It's a tough call for Montgomery not to get. He dots the changeup right on the corner, but no call. And another one.
Oh, and again misses on the inside part of the plate. You can see a little bit of distaste there as he takes his time walking around the mound and setting himself back up to face Kevin Biggio here on a 3-1 count. Montgomery's 3-1. That one catches the zone. I'm sure he'll be satisfied with that. And now the payoff pitch to Kevin Biggio with Brendan Drury standing on first. Montgomery checks the runner. That pitch misses way upstairs, and Biggio, for the second time today, will make his way over to first base after working a full count walk. Montgomery not happy with the calls that he was getting in that plate appearance from Biggio.
A bit of a different situation here on this walk. He's battling with 2 outs, reaches base to keep the inning going. In the first, a bit of a different situation where he's just the second batter of the game, and was, instead of preserving a rally, he actually was part of sparking the rally and came around to score the second run of the game.
Montgomery's first pitch to Vlad Guerrero Jr. is in the dirt. So far this season, Guerrero Jr. has struggled with runners in scoring position, as you can see there, batting 125. It's been a tough go so far for Guerrero Jr., but obviously a young player, and you take the good with the bad as he develops into a major league player. Montgomery's second pitch misses low again, and Guerrero sets himself up in an important spot here halfway through this ball game. He's got a favorable count, and he's got a man in scoring position on second. Montgomery checks the runners and his pitch. This one dribbled up the right field line, stays fair. 1 run will come in to score. Gurriel on his way to second will be in there with a double. It's a great play there from Gurriel to shorten things up and go the other way. His second double of the season drives one in for the Jays as they take a 3-0 lead.
And he's quickly 2 for 3 in this game. A big hit in the first inning and another big hit here. So far so good as he chases Montgomery from the game.
And that will do it today for Mike Montgomery. We saw it'll be either Jesse Hahn or Chance Adams, both right-handers scheduled. Well, obviously they played quite a bit through the series so far. They might get another chance today as Montgomery is relieved. It'll be Jesse Hahn coming in through 4 games through this young season. He's got a great strikeout-to-walk ratio. And Drew, how do you think Jesse Hahn's going to look to approach these hitters?
Well, Hahn has always had great stuff, and that wasn't, surprisingly, too affected by his major elbow surgery he had that ruled him out of quite a few games these past 2 seasons. He missed all of 2018. Now, it wasn't quite Tommy John. It was a slightly different surgery, but similarly, it was a very major surgery, especially when you start messing with a pitcher's elbow.
And Randall Grichuk will step in with 2 runners in scoring position with 2 outs. As he takes that one on the inside part of the plate. Grichuk so far in the season, .429 average with runners in scoring position. He's 2 for 9 so far in this series. Both of those hits coming in yesterday's ball game. He had a home run and 2 RBIs, and he's going to look to build off of that strong game he had yesterday. He struggled so far, but he's got a big chance here. That ball popped over into the right field seats for a foul. And Jesse Hahn comes in, and he's worked himself into a good situation here, and he's going to try to strand those runners in scoring position.
And anytime you're coming in as early as the 5th inning, throwing strikes is a key, especially inheriting 2 runners. You can't be messing around and walking batters early.
That pitch to Grichuk misses outside. The curveball hooked a little bit more than Hahn would have liked, and Grichuk's even the count up here at 2-2. We'll check on the runners. This pitch misses high and inside to Randall Grichuk, and after a good start, he had him 1-2. Grichuk has worked himself into a 3-2 count with the young and very promising Vladimir Guerrero Jr. standing on deck. Guerrero Jr. has got 2 hits so far in this game, and if Grichuk can make his way to first base, either through a walk or a single, it would be an important situation here for Hahn to get out of. That ball fouled off into the right field seats. Very good job of protecting the zone there from Grichuk. That ball probably would have been called a strike, but not something he could have drove, so you spoil it and look to get another one. 3-2 from Hahn. This one driven right back up the middle into center field. It drops in front of Phillips. 1 run will score. The second runner rounds third. He will come in to score, and Randall Grichuk continues his hot play against the Kansas City Royals. He had 2 RBIs yesterday. He's got 2 more today, and a great job here taking that pitch where it was thrown and ripping it back up the middle.
You mentioned he had a great spoil on that second last pitch of the at-bat just to stay alive and see one he could do something with, and he got it the very next pitch. Lines that right back up the middle, and he continues to produce since being moved up in the lineup. A very standout performer through this young season.
And those runs will be credited to Mike Montgomery. Not something that he wants, as he's not in control of those runners coming home. Obviously allowed them to reach base. But Guerrero will drive one into left field. It'll be near the wall. Gordon reaches up and makes the play for the 3rd out. Gordon, a guy who's won quite a few Gold Gloves over there in left field for this Kansas City Royals team. But the Jays put up a big inning. It'll be 5-0 going into the top of the 6th with Gordon, Merrifield, and Soler on the virtual Jays Network. Welcome back to the virtual Jays Network here. Alex Gordon steps in, and, well, if you stepped out for a bit, you missed Randall Grichuk with a 2-run single right back up the middle against Jesse Hahn that gave the Jays the lead that they have now. And Alex Gordon made that 3rd out in left field that saved potentially another run from scoring, and Thornton working into his 6th inning of work. That ball will be ripped down the right field line, but will find its way into the seats. Alex Gordon, a guy sitting on more than 1,500 hits in his long career with the Royals, a guy who's been very dependable for this Royals ball club, as he drives one up the middle. And that'll be another base hit that he will add to the resume. And Trent Thornton allows the first man to reach here on a single.
Gordon, although he's had a solid career and hit against just about everyone, he's hitting well below his career average in Rogers Center specifically. Hitting in the low 220s, a single there is going to help, but sample size over 230 at-bats just hasn't been able to get it done the same way he's been able to everywhere else in his long career.
Thornton's first pitch to Whit Merrifield misses inside. And that's interesting because in a pitcher's ballpark, in a hitter's ballpark like the Rogers Center is, you'd expect guys to put up some more prolific numbers, especially if they have the track record that Gordon does. Merrifield will foul that one off behind the first base bag. Merrifield tied with Salvador Perez with 15 hits on this Royals ball club. Definitely the guy you want to have up here if you look to chip away at this deficit. 1-1 from Thornton. Misses outside on that slider, Drew. we mentioned it earlier, he's been hooking that slider a little bit more than he's liked to so far.
At least if you're going to miss, it's better to miss away than over the heart of the plate. So better to be hooking it too far than not spinning it enough and leaving it up floating in the middle of the zone.
Yeah, and this is a lineup that will do damage against those cement mixer sliders that sit in the middle of the zone. The 2-2 from Thornton is popped up, but well foul by Whit Merrifield. Keeps himself alive here as it stays 2-2. And two-hit Whit. He's got one of those out of the way. He's going to look to grab another here against Trent Thornton in the top of the 6th. Thornton's 2-2. That slider looked a little bit better, stayed in the zone as long as it could have, but dropped itself out at the last second. Merrifield does not swing, and he's worked himself into a 3-2 count.
Big pitch for Thornton here, seeing if he can get out of trouble here or without letting two guys reach early on.
And another foul ball here from Whit Merrifield. Man, this is something you love to see if you're in that Royals dugout, because you're trying to get Thornton out of here. And another one fouled off. My goodness, this has been quite the at-bat so far for Whit Merrifield.
And that looked like a pitch he might have been able to do something with. A fastball that caught a lot of the zone. See if Thornton attacks again or tries to go away.
This one will be flown into the right center field gap. Alford will get there. Looked for a second like he wasn't going to be able to make that play in the right center field gap, but he reaches up, and he's got such great range in right field, and he's built a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger than some of his outfield counterparts. As he's able to get that out, but it's not exactly through the woods yet, as Trent Thornton will face Jorge Soler here with a man on and one out.
Alfred's got a little more speed than Teoscar Hernandez, who spends a lot of time in right.
Oh my goodness. That ball driven left center field. It finds its way into the seats. Jorge Soler, wasting no time, jumps on the first pitch that Trent Thornton throws him. This Royals lineup looking to run on some Soler power as he drove every stitch of that baseball into the seats.
Absolutely jumping on that offering. First pitch from Thornton, inside on the inner half of the plate, turns on it and able to drill that one. Doesn't waste any time at all. He knows, both of them know, the second it connects with the bat that it is leaving the yard, and that's going to be a 2-run shot that ends Trent Thornton's day here today.
Yeah, and Thornton was very animated after he gave up that pitch, so might be a situation where Montoyo saw that Thornton was getting a little bit frustrated and decides to pull the plug early here. Thornton in line for the win. Only allows 2 runs so far through what he's worked so far today, but it'll be Shun Yamaguchi making his 8th appearance so far for the Blue Jays.
8 appearances in only 15 games, this being the 15th game of the Jays season. It's quite a reliance on Shun Yamaguchi, which I'm surprised with and continue to be surprised with, as they've been turning to him in all sorts of situations, whether down, whether up. He's someone that Montoyo has shown lots of trust in.
And Dozier drives this one right back up the middle. The first pitch from Yamaguchi of this ball game is taken into center field for a base hit. Hunter Dozier wasting no time there, chops one right back up the middle.
And to put a wrap on Trent Thornton's day, 5 1/3, pretty impressive overall. Just the one blemish, the 2-run homer. Aside from that, he looks pretty solid, especially for the first 4 innings he was dealing. Rarely got into trouble, and for a number 5 guy in your rotation, he's put together a few very solid starts, and that's something the Jays will be very happy with from him.
And Yamaguchi looks to work through the meat of this order. Salvador Perez grounds this one up the middle. Guerrero dives, stops the ball, throws over to first. Salvador Perez is safe. That's a whole lot of effort you're seeing from Guerrero Jr. trying to make up for the missed double play opportunity he had earlier in this game. He was able to knock that thing down, and good that he did, because if that dribbles into center field, it's likely that Hunter Dozier finds his way on third base.
And he just about got Perez there. I was surprised how close it was at first. Perez in there safely, clearly safely, but with good effort, as you mentioned, for Gurriel to stick with it and then deliver a nice throw.
Yamaguchi's missed on 2 straight here to Ryan O'Hearn, a guy who's struggled with running his runners in scoring position so far this season, as you can see. He's featured more with the glove than with the bat so far today, but it's a great opportunity as he represents the tying run. And a third consecutive pitch misses from Yamaguchi. Rhys Mcguire trying to settle him down a little bit. I'm not sure if the language barrier features at all in there, but Yamaguchi here has got himself into a little bit of trouble. A get me over forkball. It's one of the pitches that Yamaguchi features that we don't see too often nowadays in the major leagues. Is a converted starter as Yamaguchi. He can throw quite a few pitches, eat up quite a few innings out of this Blue Jays bullpen. Yamaguchi's 3-1. That one ripped down the right field line, but well foul. As he's battled his way back here from down 3-0 into a 3-2 count, and the payoff pitch from Yamaguchi here in the top of the 6th is a big one. A kick and deal. That one fouled off by O'Hearn.
And Yamaguchi really wants to take care of O'Hearn here. He pitched on the Thursday night and gave up a big home run to Maikel Franco, and that's who's looming on deck, so you don't want to have to deal with him with runners in scoring position.
Another one fouled off from O'Hearn as he found himself in a favorable count, up 3-0, but this will be the 3rd consecutive payoff pitch here from Yamaguchi against the number 7 batter in the Royals lineup. That one misses low and outside. It will load the bases for the aforementioned Maikel Franco, a guy who took Yamaguchi deep a couple days ago, and he's got the potential to give this Royals ball club the lead here in the top of the 6th.
Well, he sure does. It was twice that Yamaguchi faced Franco, pitching in parts of 3 different innings as he relieved Tanner Roark in the first game. First time, he just got dinged for a single by Perez, but the second time it was a major blast.
Yamaguchi, that first pitch looks like he doesn't want any part of Maikel Franco, but he's got nowhere to put him here with the bases loaded.
And he's worked into trouble here. After home run, he inherited no base runners, but 3 straight runners reached, and he hasn't recorded an out yet.
That one will be popped over near the first baseline. It will drift its way well foul. No play to be made, and it'll be 1-1 to Maikel Franco.
And that 3-run rally from the Jays last inning is looking sweeter and sweeter as the pitchers get themselves into trouble here now in the next half inning in the top of the 6th.
I'm not sure how much Yamaguchi can be relied on so far. He's had a couple of good games, but at the same time, he's had a couple of stinkers. So you wonder how long Charlie Montoya will allow him to stay in these games. But he gets himself back over with a fastball. It'll be 2-2.
Well, a nice pitch there brings things to 2-2 and gives him at least a pitch to work with, where he could try and get Franco to work himself out of this inning without going directly at him with a ball to work with.
The 2-2 from Yamaguchi will be swung over the top of. Got up the middle, Panik with the flip to Gurriel, who throws it back over to first. And Shun Yamaguchi loads the bases and then unloads the bases. But not before Jorge Soler takes Trent Thornton deep with a 2-run shot into the left center field seats. We'll come back at the bottom of the 6th. The Jays with a 5-2 lead on the virtual Jays Network. Welcome back to the Virtual Jays Network, and standing in for the Royals here in the top of the 7th will be Brett Phillips, a guy who's had a great day with the bat and is featured prominently on defense so far for the Kansas City Royals. Yamaguchi's first pitch misses low.
And Yamaguchi once again out for multiple innings, so that seems to be what Montoya wants to do. When he gets Yamaguchi into the game, not getting 3 outs from him, sometimes not even settling for 6 outs for him, as he's back out now for the 7th.
This ball grounded right back up the middle. Panik to his right makes the play. The flip and the throw. My goodness, it sails right over Travis Shaw's head. Fielded by Rhys Mcguire near the Royals dugout. It'll be ruled a base hit, as Brett Phillips, a guy who has a whole lot of speed running down that first base line, would have been a tough play for Panik.
Well, he reached his first at-bat by a base hit that was hit towards Lourdes Gurriel at shortstop. He couldn't pick it and left it in the dirt. He reached on that single, and similar here, where instead of the fielding error, it's a throwing error, but nonetheless not quite sloppy, because you do mention he does have speed and it's a difficult play, but benefit of a little bit of luck there for Phillips nonetheless.
Yeah, and with Adalberto Mondesi making his way into the batter's box here, he fouls the first pitch off. He's got a whole lot of speed, as we've mentioned before, but he'll pop this one up on the infield. Drury ranges all the way over from third to make the play. And it'll be Alex Gordon stepping up with a runner on first and 1 out.
And Gordon, once again, in an opportunity to make something happen. One of the reasons you put your best, or at the very least most experienced hitters up in that 2-hole, you see it with Trout batting in the 2-hole and Donaldson and all sorts of prolific players that bat in the 2-hole, is because when the lineup turns over, you want guys like Gordon to get opportunities knowing how to hit with runners on base.
Yamaguchi's first pitch is in there. And Gordon's a guy who's 36 years old in the final year of his deal. Been with this Royals ball club a long time.
Interesting to see how he plays it this offseason, whether or not with the contract he looks to call it quits either in his career or his Royals tenure and move somewhere else, or renew, stick with the team. He's really got all the options he wants.
Yeah, and he can cement himself in Royals lore as a hero if he decides to stick around this offseason, but on the smaller scale, he's got a chance to be the hero in this game, as he represents what would be the 4th run if he can find his way into the seats on one of these Yamaguchi deliveries.
He had the day off Thursday night against the Jays opening pitcher of Tanner Roark, but he was back in the lineup yesterday. Unfortunately, not the best night for him. He went 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts and grounded into a double play.
The 2-2 from Yamaguchi misses inside, and he's worked himself into a great at-bat here. He's making Yamaguchi throw quite a few pitches, and with this payoff pitch and a man on first, it'll be interesting to see how he approaches Shun Yamaguchi.
Both of his strikeouts yesterday came via the breaking ball, and we'll see if Yamaguchi brings that in here with 2 strikes.
Pitch from Yamaguchi appeared to be a breaking ball, didn't break too much. It'll drop itself in front of Kevin Biggio. Didn't get a great jump there, as we mentioned. Biggio not too familiar playing himself in the outfield. Made 67 appearances, or played for 67 innings rather in left field. Made a couple errors. Fielding percentage wasn't perfect, but it'll be Miller time, as Shun Yamaguchi will be relieved after allowing Alex Gordon to reach on a base hit. And with 2 men on and 1 man out, Justin Miller will look to retire this lineup.
Difficult there for Yamaguchi to go out like that. Most left fielders would likely corral that ball before it drops in for a single, but again, Biggio not the most experienced out there, and he worked on his outfielding during the spring, but not fully at that level where he's among MLB's best quite yet, to say the least. And it'll be Miller now, someone that, again, he also pitched on Thursday and was really attacking hitters with his fastball.
His first pitch will miss high to Whit Merrifield, and Miller's been one of the more satisfying pitchers that the Jays have had in their bullpen this year.
On Thursday, he came in, faced 3 batters, and struck them all out. That's just about the most satisfying you can get for a bullpen arm.
A pitch to check swing from Merrifield, but called a strike anyways. It'll be 1-1 on 2-hit Whit, sitting on 1 hit right now, but if he can drive in a ball into the gap, it's really going to help this Royals lineup moving forward. Miller's delivery is swung through a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. Not blowing it by him, but not slow to say the least.
And he really spots it well. He's not leaving it too far over the middle of the plate, and he's mixing it east and west, working it in, working it out, and he's been really effective so far in this relatively small 2020 sample size.
This pitch will be fouled off by Whit Merrifield, and that's something we've seen from Whit so far today. He's able to spoil off a couple of pitches and really stand in the box and make the pitcher throw a pitch that he can hit to him. This will be popped up. The infield fly rule will be in effect. Rhys Mcguire makes the catch regardless. Merrifield is retired, and Justin Miller comes in and is able to induce the pop-up there on a high fastball from Whit Merrifield.
That one right in the upper corner of the zone, coming in at 96. So righty on righty, that's definitely enough velocity to jam him. And that's what he does, is the barrel is just underneath the ball enough to pop it straight up.
He's not out of the woods yet. Jorge Soler, a man who's homered so far in this game. That one a 2-run shot. He's got the chance to drive in what would be the tying run in himself, standing in the box right now with another big fly. Miller would check the runners. The delivery swung on. Man, it looked like Soler was looking for about the same result there.
Well, Miller not showing any signs of fear of the reigning AL home run champion, coming right in on the hands with a fastball.
That second pitch is swung on, changing speeds very effectively, almost a 10-mile-an-hour difference there on that breaking ball.
Now way ahead, Miller can do whatever he wants, whether that's challenging again or leaving the zone with a breaking ball.
Misses on that fastball, high and inside. No intent there. Maybe trying to brush Soler off of the plate just a bit. Maybe he's going to look to work with a breaking ball here on a 1-2 count, but there's a lot you can do here if you're Justin Miller.
Sure can. On Thursday, you got strikeouts, 2 via the slider and 1 via the fastball. So 2-pitch pitcher, both of them worked for him. We'll see what he does.
Miller's 1-2. Swung and driven down the left field line, but it will hook into the seats for a foul ball, and Soler's looked really off balance so far in this at-bat.
Well, all it takes is one good connection here to tie it up.
Miller's delivery will miss low. Soler swings on it anyway. Mcguire will have to make the play. Fields it, throws to first, gets the out, and Justin Miller works his way out of danger that was inherited from Shun Yamaguchi. This lead stays where it is for Toronto. It'll be 5-2 with Drury, Panik, and Biggio on the virtual Jays Network. Welcome back to the virtual Jays Network here in the bottom of the 7th. Hopefully you're all stretched out. It'll be Liam Crothers on the call here with Drew Frank in the broadcast booth, and Brennan Drury, a guy who, as we mentioned earlier, finds himself in the lineup after some interesting circumstances, but he'll look to capitalize on this opportunity nonetheless.
Well, he has so far reached base with a nice single in his last at-bat and came around to score. Han's
1-0 pitch will be grounded along the left side of the infield. Mondesi makes the play, throws over to first, gets Drury by a step. Mondesi taking a little bit more time than maybe he would have liked to, but the end result is a ground out nonetheless.
They do get the out there, but as you mentioned, a much closer play than you'd expect. Drury, not the fastest guy whatsoever going up that line, but regardless, that's the first out, and the lineup turns over now for Joe Panik.
Panik takes that first pitch inside for a strike. And Panik so far in 21 opportunities so far in this season with the bat. He's got 8 hits, and the Jays brought him in to be a feature on defense, which he's shown so far today. But he's also made wasn't credited as an error, but with Brett Phillips running down the line, threw a ball over the head of Travis Shaw on a tough play. And you know, I think he's been one of the pleasant surprises so far for this Blue Jays team.
Absolutely, especially with the bat, because down in the 7-0 yesterday, that's where he'd spent all season, but forced up to the leadoff spot because he just keeps hitting. And Montoya sees that, rewards him with a day up top, and he starts the game off with a single that comes around to score, sparking the offense and doing his job to a T.
Yeah, and he's forcing quite a few pitches from Hyun here as he's worked a full count. With one man away, Joe Panik 1 for 3 on the day. We'll look to do something with the payoff pitch from Hyun. We'll foul that one off. It looked to be a little higher in the zone than Hyun maybe would have liked, but Panik swings on it anyway, and we'll do it again, 3-2. Panik will swing on that one, drives it along the right field line. It will fall, but on the wrong side of the chalk. It's a foul ball. Panik fouls off another one. And once again, the payoff pitch from Jesse Hyun. This one popped into shallow center field. Phillips on the run, coming in, will make the play. And Phillips again showing off that great speed in center field.
A long way to go for that one. Playing at a pretty normal depth, not too deep, but that ball was quite shallow in center field. Came a long way and gets it just before it drops in.
And Jesse Hyun with his 35th pitch coming up here will be 36. He's eaten up quite a few innings out of this Royals bullpen. That's exactly what you want to see if you're the manager of this club.
For sure. We saw it yesterday with Chance Adams. Seeing it again here with Jesse Hyun. Going to be a very well-rested bullpen as we head into the last game tomorrow.
Hyun's worked himself into some trouble here as Biggio exercising that great eye as he's worked a 2-0 count, and this is a favorable spot here for Kevin Biggio to try to extend this lead and maybe in a smaller scale just get on base. Take that high and inside strike. Moves the count to 2-1. Biggio has been, one of those players that obviously wasn't as highly touted as maybe a Vladimir Guerrero Jr., but he's been very impressive so far nonetheless. We'll swing on that one and foul it back.
Of the Jays' young players, he, I think pretty clearly, is the most polished. He's got good discipline at the plate. He can run nice, and he can play the field well. And fielding and discipline are two of the things you don't usually see till later on.
We'll head into the shift there. Merrifield makes the play in shallow right field, and that'll retire the side for the Jays. Coming up here in the top of the 8th, it'll be Dozier, Perez, and O'Hearn. The Jays take a 5-2 lead into the 8th inning on the virtual Jays Network. Welcome back to the virtual Jays Network. It'll be Hunter Dozier stepping in here in the top of the 8th, and he'll look to do something against Justin Miller, who, after a strong performance earlier in this series, has got things going here again.
And he's back out for another inning to work at least to start this 8th here after closing out the 7th.
That pitch in there for a strike. Miller, one of those guys that, the Jays brought in to maybe try to find some to solidify that bullpen, and I think he's been more than impressive so far, and Montoya clearly confident enough in him to leave him in here against the bottom half of this Royals lineup. He's got 2 strikes here on Hunter Dozier.
Well, he's been effective largely because of how aggressive he's been with that fastball. As a relief pitcher, you've got to trust your stuff, and he has, spotting it all over the zone.
2 pitch from Miller, a slider that misses high and outside. Good eye exercise there from Dozier, and as you can see there, Sam Cavillo and the big arm of 100 Miles Giles warming up in the Jays bullpen.
Giles, we should expect to see him here if this lead holds. He hasn't worked too much of late.
Miller shatters the bat of Dozier there. Travis Shaw misplays the ball, and Hunter Dozier makes his way into first, and that'll be credited as an error to Travis Shaw, but man, that is no easy play when you have a shard of bat flying at you out of the batter's box.
A bat flying at you on your right and one of the fastest third basemen coming down the line on your left. Difficult play for Shaw. I was wondering if they'd maybe charge that as a base hit against Miller, but no, it'll be an error So now runner aboard for Salvador Perez.
And it's interesting, we've seen from our scorekeeper today, he's credited quite a few of those instances as hits. He's favored the batters. But Justin Miller, it'll be a happy sight for him as a man gets on, but won't be to his credit. But he's doing himself no favors here as he's got himself 2-0 on Salvador Perez, who's been a pretty impressive veteran so far for the Royals lineup in this early season. Miller gets himself back in with a fastball on the inside part of the plate, 2-1.
And I think Perez can be credited for a reason that we're seeing the pitching staff really take off. Junis and Duffy especially, both kind of stuttering last year in 2019. 2020 so far, they've been red hot. And the return of Salvador Perez after missing all of 2019 with Tommy John could likely be a major factor there.
Miller's 2-2 is swung on by Salvador Perez, and well, he's helped out his pitchers so far in the staff, but he's not doing the scorebook any favors as he strikes out there as Miller blows that fastball by him.
Miller continues to dazzle in relief, and that'll do it for him today, but a successful outing.
Number 52.
And we'll see Anthony Bast, the credited setup man in this Blue Jays bullpen, as we've seen so far from him this year through 5 appearances. And to me, what sticks out on that lineup or on that line score is that 0 ERA and that 6-0 walks or strikeouts to walks ratio.
He's been really good, and walks are devastating as a relief pitcher because usually, especially as a setup man, you don't have a lot of wiggle room. Here with the tying run on deck, for example, you can't really mess around, so striking out batters while avoiding putting them on base is essential for any relief pitcher.
And he's a big fish in that Blue Jays bullpen as he's got himself up here 0-2. Only needs the ground ball here to get out of it, but as we've seen from this Jays infield, they have turned a few double plays today, but haven't turned all of their opportunities. So Bass looking to do it himself here, up 0-2 on Ryan O'Hearn. That pitch will be swung on to Brandon Drury. The aforementioned will throw to second. Joe Panik makes the play, throws it over to first. Bass rolls the double play on an 0-2 count. It'll be Gurriel, Grichuk, and Guerrero coming up in the bottom of the 8th. The Jays up 5-2 on the virtual Jays Network. Welcome back on the virtual Jays Network. My name is Liam Crothers. I'm joined alongside Drew Frank. And Drew, stepping into the box, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., a guy who struggled early in this season, but he's had a great day so far.
A rough road trip. New York didn't treat him nicely. Then he went to Philadelphia and only pulled out 1 hit from either of those games. Back in Toronto, today's been a great day for him. Looked pretty decent at shortstop. He messed up a ball in the first inning and started his day off a little bit sour, but he's shown at least a good enough shortstop ability to back up Bichette, and that's all that Montoyo needs from him.
It'll go down on 3 straight pitches. Watches that ball on the outside corner. He's rung up, and Jesse Hahn has been very effective out of that Royals bullpen.
And we saw the exact same thing with Chance Adams yesterday. Very, very impressive. In a pretty large body of work, Adams went 3 innings and didn't allow a run. And it's looking like Jesse Hahn is set to do the same. Just phenomenal performances from bullpen pitchers.
Grichuk will drive that one down the left field line. It will hook itself into the seats, but on the wrong side of the foul pole, and it'll be a loud strike as Grichuk moves the count to 1-1. Hahn's third delivery will be swung over the top of, and now Grichuk finds himself in a tough situation, 1-2. Watches that one on the inside part of the plate, and he's even things up at 2.
Grichuk on the day, just 1 for 3, but that one drove in a pair of runs. So as this game gets closer and closer, now only a 3-run lead, those 2 runs are proving even more important.
2-2 from Hahn will be taken. A breaking ball that missed the bottom part of the zone, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. looms on deck. If Grichuk can find his way on base here, it'll be big for the Jays as he rips that one. Man, a lot of solid contact on the foul balls today so far.
Well, they're timing him up just a little bit out in front.
The payoff pitch. Again, spoiled off by Grichuk, and we'll do it again. Hahn gets the sign, and Perez will set himself up. Low and inside. That ball misses. Grichuk will walk to first base. Hahn a little bit dissatisfied in the way that he threw that pitch. And it'll be the young Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who's 2 for 3 on the day, stepping up with a man on first and 1 away.
It'll be interesting to see how Montoya organizes the middle of his lineup going forward, because Grichuk's been so effective at getting on base, but you don't want to move guys like Vladimir Guerrero down too far in the lineup. The leadoff hitter Bobichet's out today, but you've got to figure he'll be back at the top when he comes back. So lots of questions, but good questions.
Guerrero takes that first pitch. It'll be reined in by Hahn, who throws that ball over to second and then back to first for the double play. So Guerrero jumps on that first pitch, but grounds into a double play. Jays still lead at 5-2 on the virtual Jays Network. It's closing time.
Your attention, please.
Welcome back to the Rogers Center, and it'll be Ken Giles coming in for his 8th appearance. He's got 7 saves in 7 appearances so far. A great strikeout-to-walk ratio. Hasn't given up a whole lot of contact to these hitters, and obviously as one of the premier closers in the league, he's got the biggest cushion that he can have coming in here in the top of the 9th.
And hasn't given up a run yet. Jays have used him quite a bit. He's among the AL League save leaders, but he just hasn't been beaten yet by anyone. He's got that 0 ERA intact and looks to carry it forward here and pick up yet another save.
The second pitch, a consecutive slider dribbled up to Ken Giles, who makes the play and throws out Michael Franco at first base. So as we mentioned, Giles has been very effective so far, and on 2 pitches, he's already got 1 out.
And it's really been those ground balls that have done Kansas City in today. Through the first 8 innings, 4 double plays. And they've come all around the order. Their leadoff hitters grounded into 1. Their 7 hitters grounded into 1. And a couple of guys in between. But 4 double plays is really brutal for when you're trying to string together an offense.
And as we've seen from the Jays, same number of double plays so far for them. And it's hurt them just a little bit less as they lead in the score line. But not something that you want to see for Charlie Montoya moving forward.
Definitely not. It's affected both teams. The Jays able to rally in 2 separate innings, so the double plays came and shut things down, but a nice sliding play, but doesn't quite come up with it.
Yeah, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., he's definitely putting in the effort, but close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. He's made some very, very high effort plays, but he's yielded some low results so far, and it'll be Adalberto Mondesi with a man on and 1 out for Ken Giles. His first pitch is fouled off by Mondesi. And Giles has worked himself into a couple of intense situations on this early season, but hasn't been bit yet.
He's managed to get out of it every time, even in specific dangerous situations known for being difficult to come in and close. In Yankee Stadium, he's come in and looked good, and runners on 2nd and 3rd, he's managed to get out of it.
And that ball will be fouled off again by Mondesi, and the count moves to 0-2. Giles a strikeout artist. In a great situation here. He can waste the pitch or come right at him. Mcguire sets himself up. That slider misses way upstairs. The count will move to 1-2.
Bit of a waste pitch there. Doesn't really establish anything, but still being ahead 1-2 means he can come back with anything he wants.
Giles checks on the runner. Mcguire sets himself up. That pitch is low. The appeal down to 3rd. He did not go, and the count will move to 2-2. Man, not a great pitch for Mondesi to be swinging at, but gets a friendly check nonetheless. As Giles will look to come after him here, 2-2. Honestly, pops that one up near the Royals dugout. Shaw all the way over to make the play, and he reins that ball in for 2 outs.
So the last hope for the Royals will come on Alex Gordon. Gordon, a very experienced hitter. He's seen Giles in 4 different plate appearances. He's 1 for 3 with a double and a walk, and boy, they could sure use one right now.
And as Alex Gordon steps in, he's got an OPS over 900. Obviously, the year still very, very young. Quite the opposite in Gordon's case. He's one of the more tenured players in the league at this point. But with age comes experience, and he's been in these high-intensity situations a time or two before, and he knows how to convert. Giles is 1-0. Will miss low, 2-0.
2 good takes there. Second one, that's a hard slider to lay off of, because if you're keeping an eye for a fastball, that fastball down near the middle bottom of the plate, usually good to swing at, but that slider just drops right off, so it's a great take from Gordon.
He takes a 3rd consecutive pitch. The high fastball misses at 98 miles an hour. And Gordon doing a great job here to try to find his way on base for the tying run, who sits on deck. Giles checks on the runners. It's 3-0. Catches the outside part of the plate. 98 miles an hour again. We've yet to see the ultimate heater that Giles possesses. They call him 100 miles Giles for a reason. And maybe on 3-1, it might be a situation where you try to overpower Gordon here.
Well, that one just missed. Right on the edge of the plate. Very difficult for Gordon to sit and watch that one. He likely thought he might have had ball 4 there.
That one misses wide. Giles not happy with himself as he's surrendered 2 base runners here, and the tying run, and Whit Merrifield will make his way to the plate. Whit, a quiet day so far, but as we've mentioned almost ad nauseum, they call him 2-hit Whit, and he's looking for that 2nd hit to cap off his day and maybe send this thing into extra innings.
Yesterday, Giles was a lot more effective and preventing base runners. He took him 3 up, 3 down, and he did face Whit Merrifield actually and got him to pop out to the shortstop as part of a 1-2-3 inning.
That slider works its way back into the zone. It's a great pitch to throw to that right-handed hitter, as it is never hittable really until it finds its way into the strike zone, and Giles works on an 0-1. Back-to-back sliders here, but he's missed on that 2nd, and it'll be 1-1 count to Whit Merrifield. Giles with a quick check on the runners. The pitch. 3 straight sliders. 1 is good, and the other 2 miss outside. Giles working himself into a tough situation here.
I'd expect Giles here to come back with a fastball, because it's his bread and butter pitch. It's his #1 weapon, and down 2-1, you got to start attacking here. You've got a 3-run cushion, and you can't be walking too many batters.
2-1. Misses inside. 4 straight sliders, and Giles doing himself no favors here, as it'll be a 3-1 count to Whit Merrifield. That pitch in there, 98 miles an hour. As we mentioned, that get-me-over fastball. Giles throws it a little bit harder than anyone else in the league, and on 3-2, the payoff. Runners going. Whit Merrifield swings over the top of the ball. It does not matter. Ken Giles stays perfect with the save, and the Jays walk out of here with a 5-2 win over the Kansas City Royals.
The Jays taking the 3rd game of the series to pull ahead 2-1. A nice game that was close right till the end there. Ken Giles comes in and saves the day. Gets out of a little bit of trouble, but all around a pretty impressive performance from this Toronto Blue Jays pitching staff.
Yeah, and Drew, as we mentioned, the Kansas City Royals bats hit themselves into quite a few double plays, but the Jays were no stranger to the double play ball as well. What do you think was the biggest factor in allowing the Jays to, propel themselves over the Royals here with a 5-2 win?
Well, the big difference is those 2 numbers that you see, 1 in the 1st inning and 1 in the 5th inning. The Jays able to string together enough hits to convert and score the runs they need. They sure did kill enough rallies with the double play, but the fact that they were able to get those 2 innings going was what ended up being the decider here.
And you got a bit of a contrast today, as you can see on your scoreline. 11 hits for the Kansas City Royals and only 2 runs. Remember, yesterday the Jays only managed to put up 3 runs on 9 hits. Aside from Ken Giles working himself into trouble and then working himself out of it, Drew, who do you think was our player of the game today?
well, not quite carrying the game or deciding anything, but Jesse Hahn definitely deserves a quick mention on the Kansas City side, because he was able to come in a situation where the Jays' bats were hot, and you see after the 3 there in the 5th inning, all those zeros are largely because of the work that he put in. So a shout out to Jesse Hahn, but for the Jays, I want to say that it goes to Lourdes Gurriel Jr. A big reason that those 3 runs were scored in the 5th was because he had that big 2-out double, and the work he put in at shortstop, maybe not necessarily the cleanest body of work, but you say the effort's there, and a definite passable grade we'll give him.
So that is going to do it today for us on the Virtual Jays Network. The Toronto Blue Jays walk away with a 5-2 win, improving themselves to 10-5 on the season. Don't forget, we got first pitch coming up tomorrow on Sunday, 1:07. We are scheduled to start. Be here to make sure you don't miss any of the Toronto Blue Jays season. They've looked very impressive so far, and they'll look to continue and take this series from Kansas City. But that is going to do it for us so far in this season. For Drew Frank, my name is Liam Crothers. Thank you so much for tuning in on the Virtual Jays Network. We'll see you next time.